Hello everyone and welcome to my documentary. It seems like every other day we get a new documentary. A couple of weeks ago, a clip from ITZY's documentary went viral. They were recording their song Bet On Me, and JYP was guiding them through the process. But when they didn't meet his expectations, he went to have a chat with Yeji, and we can't hear much, but she ends up crying, and then we also get a shot of Leah. Also, I don't know if she's crying or she's just sad in the booth. Fans and rational thinkers weren't very happy with the way JYP handled this session, and it just so happened to coincide with the release of the behind-the-scenes recording of Super Shy by New Jeans, in which we can see that the girls are getting complimented even if they're not nailing every take, and they also get a little gift at the end. This whole situation reminded me of the XG documentary that I didn't finish because I didn't like it. I didn't like the way the trainees were treated. But instead of the reaction JYP got, Simon was praised left and right, badums, because of the way he kept the girls in line. And this also reminded me of the Le Seraphim documentary where the girls are being scolded because of their weight, and Sakura ends up crying. Not because she felt targeted, but because she was worried how this was gonna affect the rest of the group, which is also sweet. So naturally, I became really interested in K-pop documentaries and wondered why. Why would they include scenes like this, you know? Because these documentaries are essentially saying, look how bad they have it. Look how hard these trainees work. Look how they cry. And it's like, you're the one that made them cry. You're the one traumatizing them. And I think it really comes down to who we allow these label heads to be. There are no repercussions for someone like YG, who goes on national TV and tells 12-year-olds that if they don't lose weight, they will never achieve their dreams. I mean, he did go to jail, but not for this. And remember, he's saying those stuff while being recorded. Like, imagine what he says in those practice rooms. Screw that. He was calling 21 my ugly girls to their faces. And yeah, all of his groups left YG, so there were consequences, but he came back to the company at the start of this year, I think, and my timeline was filled with people saying, oh, he's gonna turn things around. But like, who do you think was running YG before? Anyway, this is not a personal attack on Yang Hyun-suk, even though it might as well be. And this also isn't like this person is bad, so don't support them type of video. I just want us to reflect on the way these producers and these executives believe they are the shit, you know. I am currently watching A2K, which is the newest JYP documentary or survival show, and it starts, and I kid you not, with a 5-minute introduction of people just praising JYP and calling him a legend while he drives around Sunset Boulevard in a convertible with sunglasses on. But in the show, he is really honest and yet extremely kind. And I think that at some point of the show he says that he has a daughter the age of the contestant. So I'm sorry, Yeji, if you want sympathy, be 12 years old. However, I can't help but think that the audience of this survival show plays a huge role in this newfound positivity. Maybe in the East, and especially in Korea's Sugo culture, they like to see the idols go through hard times and encounter a lot of issues, so that at the end you can admire how hard they work. But A2K's target audience is clearly these, and I don't think the viewers would be very happy with K-pop's usual survival shows. Like, imagine the Stray Kids survival show in the West. or Island, like, oh my god, those kids are traumatized for life. Every single time someone mentions Island to the Hypen members, they have like war flashbacks.
But I do want to say that Island, it's one of the better ones out there.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it is sad, but the way it is produced, it ensures that you're gonna end up with a good group at the end. Which in Hypen, it's kind of a good group at the end.
It's kind of.
It depends on each one and each, the preference of everyone. But like, the point is, at the end, the group was kind of balanced. The way that the producers were able to keep more vocals, when obviously like the popular vote was leaning towards all the dancers, and you need to have that balance. And having the mixed voting in Island kept that. But if you see like the other Survivor shows, like for example Boys Planet, nothing against the boys, but in Boys Planet you will see that towards the end people were starting to panic a little bit on social media, like,
because there were no vocals?
No, over what would be the final lineup, because it seemed like a complete mess. It didn't look like a cohesive group, which it did not happen with Hypen. Like, someone had one or two favorites, but at the end it looked like, oh yeah, this is a group. They kind of work together.
One documentary that I really like is Blackpink's documentary, which has a section that just focuses on the K-pop system and explains how it's different from other industries. And I watched it when I was just getting into K-pop, so it was really informational. They recall their trainee days while literally crying, and they somehow made it to the final cut. Like, don't get me wrong, I want them to be honest with us, but I also wish they wouldn't have had to go through that, which is nonsensical, but also I guess that's how feelings work. I don't know. While trying to remember all the documentaries I've watched, I remember that Lee Soo-man was supposedly coming out with one produced by Prime. It hasn't come out yet, but I'm gonna be seated. The title is The King of K-pop. I expect it to be just like that JYP introduction, but for 2 hours. And lastly, I wanted to talk about Big Hit specifically because they're coming out with a new documentary every other day. They think everything deserves a documentary, actually. And their deal with Disney Plus is seriously not helping. They have released this year, by the way, J-Hop in the Box, Road to D-Day, and Our Last Summer. There's also a BTS one coming soon by the end of the year. And I love K-pop, but I also love documentaries. Docu-series, don't even get me started. I fucking love docu-series. They're like the epitome of fun for me. And I'm boring, and I accept that. But because I like the genre and I've seen really good documentaries, I can tell when something did not need to be a documentary. Out of the three I mentioned, my favorite is by far J-Hop in the Box. J-Hop in the Box shows J-Hope's dedication to his solo debut in a way that made me admire him even more. This moment in his life needed to be documented through visual media. And because he has to perform at Lollapalooza by the end of his promotion period, it gives the documentary a narrative that lacks in the other two. I think the fact that I liked this one the most says a lot, because TXT is one of my old groups, and Suga is my bias in BTS. Yoongi's documentary could have been an emo. It did wonders for my mental health, because just seeing him and hearing his voice gives me a boost of serotonin. But there's not a lot going on, and it's also edited like it's a horror movie. I had really high hopes for Our Last Summer because I think the premise of it works. TXT couldn't tour because of the pandemic, and now they are touring. And we see how they prepare and the challenges they face, but they don't really explore each of the members' personality or backstory at all. It's very superficial, so that makes me think that the target audience was probably people who already know and love TXT, because if you don't, like, it's kind of boring. I have to read this because this is a very important rant, and I need to get every single word correct, okay? I also need to talk about the part where we, out of nowhere, spend a night with Suin. That's great for my delusional ass. He's in his hotel room and he talks to us about his day. And then he takes a shower and then he's like, I don't want to go to sleep, so I'm going to watch something. But he falls asleep. We see this. We are in there with him. We're watching him sleep. And then he wakes up and he's like, oh no, I fell asleep. And we stay there until he decides to turn off the camera. And like, why? What about this is so important for the documentary? What part of this?
You're expecting a K-pop documentary to be a documentary. And like I said, it's just a rebranding of behind the scenes. What it means is just gonna give you extra scenes of you seeing your K-pop idol doing shit. And that's it. It's just gonna feed off the delusion, or it's just gonna give you a little more insight on their personality.
But this one also doesn't really say anything about TXT.
But that's the like, they cannot say anything. Because if they say anything substantial about them, then they run the risk of ruining someone's fantasy.
I didn't write this, but I wanted to talk about this. There's also a part in the documentary where they are deciding what to do on stage, and Taehyung is like, hey, when we get to this part, we should do this, maybe like a step or something. But when they get to that part in the actual concert, only he does it, and he gets mad. He gets really mad, and I was like, oh, this is starting. The tea is hot today, and I want to know what this is. And they brush past that, like, oh, that's just Taehyung. And I'm like, no, please, I want to see whether he was angry or not.
They're never gonna show you them arguing, like.
But friends fight.
But when you're a fan, you're only seeing like a side of the relationship. So every little incident can seem like a big division between them. So they have to be very careful with what they show and what they don't.
So, all of this to say, stop making half-hearted documentaries about nothing and stop exploiting your artist's pain.
True. Also, as a fan, don't watch it. If you truly care for them, don't watch the documentary if it's exploitative. You know.
That's true, but how do you know?
You will know. Social media will let you know before the documentary is completely out. Like the clip of your favorite idol crying will go viral before you even click the link of the survival show. So if you see that people are talking about that, then don't watch it. Just stay away.
So also, conclusion, dear Cell.
Dear Cell.
Because now everyone knows ITZY has a documentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.